The difference between a real country and one of those fake bullshit, fake ass countries. You can always tell a real country from a fake country. A real country will basically they will feed their own people. They will have their own schools. They will have their own legitimate police department and own legitimate courts. They will also not buy weapons from some other country. They will manufacture their own weapons. They will invent their own weapons. They will pull from their own people to invent those weapons and pay their own people very well. Basically, pay for schools, pay for good teachers, and they will practice and invent and research their own weaponry and their own explosives and their own equipment and their own armor piercing and their own armor bulletproof vehicles. They will invent their own rubber. They can start from somewhere, but basically they will basically pretty much manufacture their own rubber. They will for their equipment. They will do all this stuff, and they will have their own weapons plant, and they will have their own gunpowder plant, and they will do things like a real country. Now, if you're not in a real country, if you're in a fake dictatorship, your people will be oppressed. You will have people basically running around with someone else's guns that they bought or stole, or basically, and pretty much they will run around and they will rape people, kill people, and basically be no different than the common criminal that you see down the street that just decides one day, hey, I'm going to get a new car. And pretty much that is the difference between a real country and not a real country. Germany was a real country. China is basically a real country. England is, for the most part, a real country, with Germany, basically. And pretty much, like, most of it's just me, and as I maneuver around. Actually, all countries are basically just me as I maneuver around. But because pretty much, well, the reason why I was on top, why I did so well, is because I did invent my own weapons. I did invent my own armor. I did invent my own bulletproof stuff, and I basically did invent laws that would encourage invention and stuff by being a good and fair leader. And mostly the world is basically just riding on everything I did. My fair laws, my, finding out the right kind of fair but good enforcement, good jails. Whether or not jail works, that's an iffy point. I don't really know. Maybe it is better just to kill your enemies and make love to their wives and daughters. Maybe that's a better tactic. I don't know. That's not one that I personally encourage or liked, because being who I really am, which was creator of 800 Galaxies, it's like, well, I got to create my own women and got to perfect the way they would look and decide what I liked and wanted in my planet and my population. Women are the way I want them to look, pretty much. I mean, anyway, and so, like, I am a real creator and real leader and real president and really own America and really named America. Just made up the word. I made up a lot of different names and a lot of different words. I didn't just use money. Later on I used money, and later on I used food and all kinds of other things. And even, like I said, even some drugs, like my soldiers would have a little bit of cocaine on them in case, like, people were a little panicked or whatever. Or not cocaine. I think it was actually like a sedative or something to make people were more relaxed. Some of my troops, anyway, for like certain situations. I don't know. It's kind of silly. I had it for a little while. I was like, I guess we'll have it inside the kit. Why not? Um, uh, because some people were hysterical, and some bad situations would happen, and it's like, well, we need to get her to calm down first and all that. So I mean, because like some people went through a lot of traumatic experiences with my armies around, because, like, they would come in fast and heavy, as they say, and then it's like, it's okay, we're gonna feed you, clothe you. My armies wouldn't like my SS and everything that I did. Everyone was like, oh, wow, okay, and they were, they loved my people. Like anytime my people were around, or I was in charge of the situation, which was actually quite a bit of the time, actually. And some people were like, we don't want anybody else but him to be in charge and control. It's like, well, yeah, that's probably because I'm not a murdering psychopath that's just in it for the next 5 minutes or the next lifetime. It's like, yeah, well, I'm a real creator of 800 galaxies, and I do things the right way. Freedom, speech, openness, honesty. I don't try and hide or lie about anything. In fact, I film it because what I do, like the Golden Gate Bridge, what I do is history. It's a lot of the things that I did, because I am an epic creator of 800 Galaxies, so a lot of the things that we were doing that I did, that I was a part of, it's real. It's a real thing. It's a real deal. And other people would say, well, he's the real deal. He's the real thing. And it's like, yeah, I am. So anyway, whether or not South America, like I said, South America, that's just what's left over. I had more of it, but there's arguable whether or not I controlled Germany, because Germany and it's like I don't really need to control the whole world. I just kept a few places that I really invested in and really loved myself, like Brazil, and actually I kind of in Colombia, and I think I lost Colombia or whatever at some point. Someone else claimed it or whatever. I mean, the whole world is basically mine. I mean, the whole 800 Galaxies is basically my creation and what I did. And so, I mean, anyway, and that's why, I had the best guns, I had the best tanks, I had the nuclear bombs. I had nuclear bombs since 1812, basically. I had the first Gatlings, like when people first tried to attack me, we had Gatlings. They had muskets and small arms. It's like, yeah. I just didn't bring it out yet. We had it in the back. Like I said, they tried to take out one of my forts where we made and sold weapons. And it's like, yeah, there's Gatlings in the back with ammo, and they work, and they worked, and they were just for show. Nothing that I own or created was just for show. So when muskets attacked, it ended badly. And because, my people, we were the builders of civilization. We were the builders. We were the inventors. So we had all the best stuff. So, the people that I was with, that I was doing, so I'm the real thing. So, and everybody else was just trying to pretend and lie and trying to cheat. And it's like, well, that doesn't really work in the real world. Or real existence. It doesn't really, you can call yourself whatever you want, but if you're not really the leader, I mean, the most they could do is just call me not leader and try and hide it. And it's like, well, that doesn't really work either, because I was leader and I did lead. So, and I did create 800 Galaxies. So, all right, because otherwise, so you just look kind of crazy. So, in retrospect. Of course, Nixon and JFK didn't really care about that, because they were planning on killing everyone anyway, because they didn't really give a damn. They just walked into this presidency and walked into this house, and realistically, they arranged it so the Republicans were just renting the house, just like the Pope. He's just renting the Vatican. He doesn't actually own it. So, you're just lying to the people. Just like, and if people eventually find out that it's really just this big scam that some people are pulling, and they're planning on killing everyone anyway. And that's why they were just going around killing other people, or, they're just pulling this big old scam on everyone. Making everyone pay for their jet fuel, like the aircraft carriers, they include the fuel that's going to be used for the aircraft carrier in the aircraft carrier costs, so they can fly all over. I was going to fly all over, but of course, some other people would rather fly over instead, and basically just stole that from me. And, and pretty much it's this giant lie that some taxpayers and some military people are pulling over on the rest of the world. And realistically, it's just my money and taxpayer money. So, anyway, and they can't even get that much taxpayer. They've just been embezzling and just printing money pretty much. Unless you include the whole world budget.